talking about the party on super. Has it all come to an end, Johnny?
Yeah, good morning, guys. So Jim Chalmers, I think he's trying to start a conversation, obviously, about our superannuation system, and included in that is the very generous tax breaks for multi-million-dollar account balances. Chalmers has said this week he wants the system to be equitable and sustainable. And while they've been a bit vague about the specifics so far, it seems like the idea the government is most attracted to is perhaps capping how much you can have in tax concessional super. The industry's pushing for a $5 million cap, but other people have said, no, it should only be $2 or $3 million before those tax breaks run out.
That's always been the issue, though, hasn't it, when you're talking about investing in some of those more social causes, is the diminished returns?
Well, this is where there's a bit of tension as well, Sarah. The Treasurer is trying to nudge the funds to invest in sort of social causes like housing, green energy, these sorts of things. But the funds also have a mandate to maximise the returns. They call it the best financial interest duty. They have to get the best returns for their members. Now, Chalmers says, look, I'm not saying you have to take suboptimal returns. If these returns stack up financially, you should go and do it. So it's more of a gentle nudge rather than forcing the funds to do anything.
But could I just say this, Johnny? It's our money. It's our money in a super fund, and maybe I'm silly, I would just want the best return.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day, Karl. I mean, superannuation is for retirement. These funds do need to make the best possible returns. And the only way some of these social sort of investments are going to stack up is perhaps if the government provides a subsidy or some other red tape reduction. And I can't see many of the funds doing this unless the financial returns actually stack up.
Right.
Well, exactly, that's the whole point.
Otherwise, you just go to another
it's not sustainable
policy that's not involved in that. Anyway, doesn't make any sense economically or fiscally from my point of view. And I'm no expert.
No, you're certainly not.
Yeah, this is going to be really the tension point going forward. I mean, Chalmers, he says that, no, you don't have to take a return cut. It's only if these things stack up. But then it's sort of obvious that some of these measures like affordable housing, look, some of them can make good returns, but often they do require some sort of government subsidy to get the best returns for superannuation fund members.
Moving on, former RBA Governor Bernie Fraser is questioning the Albanese government's superannuation scheme. He's got concerns it could cut Australians' returns short. Matt, they're justified, aren't they?
Absolutely. It's our money. Just leave our money alone. And this is shaping up as a massive broken promise if they proceed with this, the Labor Party. They said before the last election they wouldn't touch our super, they wouldn't tinker with it. They'd learnt their lesson from the previous election. People work hard for this money, and at a time when they're struggling to pay their bills today, the Labor Party seems dead set on making it harder for people tomorrow. Because this money is there for you to help you in your retirement, and the more we tinker around with it, the less people, young people in particular, will bother contributing to their retirement because I just think the government will tax it one day anyway.
Yeah,
so
right.
Leave it alone, leave our money alone, let us invest it, and then let us enjoy our retirement.
I'm not sure of the dialogue around these quotes, but you're 100% right. The Australian this morning says, this is a quote from Anthony Albanese in May 2, 2022. We've said we have no intention of making any super changes. One of the things we're doing in this campaign is we're making all of our policies clear. And then on Tuesday, he has said, my government makes no apologies for pointing out what the future looks like. So, Sarah, it is actually a hotter issue than they're probably anticipating at this point.
I agree. It's interesting going back to what was said during the election campaign. They actually never did rule it out. They use that classic line, we've got no plans, no intentions to change it. It is a hot button issue because a lot of Australians, myself included, saw our super returns last year and got a very unpleasant surprise. So if you add that to all of the other economic and cost of living woes that we as consumers are dealing with, it's the last thing we need. It is our money. We work hard for it. I think there's an interesting generational conversation going here because if I wanted to ignite a bit of generational warfare on this Wednesday morning, I might say, well, it's time that the baby boomers took a bit of a hit because they've been relatively protected. If you look at the housing crisis, they're the generation that are coming out of it the least. And there you go. I just threw off a few bombs there.
What's that sound? That's our fax machine whirring into action with all the complaints. complaints. Let's move on. Could the Albanese honeymoon be over? Let's have a look at some survey results today. 67% of voters agreed that inflation is having a serious effect on their household. 78% think the gap between rich and poor feels like it's widening. 40% would struggle to afford a major expense, and 38% have concerns for their retirement savings. Matt, voters seem less impressed with what's going on at the moment, but that's understandable given the pressure that is exerting now on their budgets.
Yeah, I don't need a poll to tell me that, Karl. You just have to talk to people down the street. They are struggling. They're doing it tough. And people are worried about the year ahead with interest rate rises still to come. And I'm not surprised that the Prime Minister's taken a bit of a hit because he seems a little distracted over summer with things like The Voice, that most people don't even know what it is. They just want a government to focus on making their lives better. So, you know, if the government wants to improve its standing with the people, it needs to focus on what the people want them to do, which is to help them deal with this crushing rise in the cost of living.
Some good news too in terms of preferred Prime Minister. At this rate, you guys should be back in power by 2030.
About 50, 60 years. Oh, that soon. Oh, great.
Sarah?
Yeah, Peter Dutton is counting down the days on his calendar. Look, absolutely. Look, cost of living is first and foremost in the minds of voters. Absolutely no dispute. So the Prime Minister has to get on top of that if he wants his personal approval rating to go back up. Not such great news, really. I mean, Peter Dutton, we're seeing like the Labor Party, the honeymoon's definitely over, but Dutton's personal approval rating is not spiking. And again, I think the National Press Club address today by the Prime Minister, we're going to see a lot of dog whistling on national security because that's a very powerful issue too.
Things come back to where it was, yeah. Look, let's see how the next 6 months go for the economy as well. That'll be crucial.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my God, Karl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Karl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?